think right now we are starting to see, well, the numbers are even showing us that the women's college game is, you don't even have to say more exciting, but it's being sought after more. People are watching the women's college game more than the men's college game. Talk about that a little bit, Chris. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, there's definitely some elements to it. We've been talking about the star power and, there being a lot of talent, of course, but we just talked about how there's always been a lot of talent. What have you been kind of seeing and hearing? Because I literally saw, I think it was Bill Simmons. Heard Bill Simmons came out and said, like, yo, it's just flat out women's colleges is more, and just to hear more and more people start to say that, even just random people in social media comments and on Twitter, like, they're just giving it up. They're just like, man, the men's college game is just not, like, it's not hitting right now. Even going back to last year's national championship. So, what are your thoughts on that right now?
Yeah, I mean, it is true. It is much more compelling content in TV because you have the superstars who are moving the needle, right? You have the drama, the storylines, or the rivalries with these teams, whether it's, Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, or LSU, versus South Carolina, Dawn Staley versus Kim Mulkey. You got Neil Ivy, you got Hannah Hidalgo, against Georgia Amore, all those things. They're box office talent, right? Mylasia Fulwiley. And it's the way they play and the personality that they bring, right? So I think that all plays into why we're seeing, of course, Juju Watkins, why we're seeing the viewership rise in the women's game compared to the men. But they still have a lot of talented players, and I think, I forgot who said it, but in this year's draft, you have a lot more guys in college or overseas who you could build with as opposed to building around. I think about Rob Dillingham, Kentucky, Reed Shepherd, those two guys, they're really good, phenomenal.
Yeah.
But they're not the John Walls, the Anthony Davises, the Zion Williamsons, the Kevin Durant's, the Blake Griffins, all those players. You can go on and on, the Kimball Walkers. You're not seeing it. I think also what plays a role is the change in the rules and how there's so many different options for men's basketball or college men's basketball. You're able to go overseas or play with the G League team, right? And you don't have that same, this is a can't miss prospect anymore, even though there are still good stories like UConn. They're trying to go back to back. First team to do that since Joakim Noah, those Florida Gators in the mid 2000s when they were on top of the world. The difference is UConn this year had to replace a lot of their guys who departed for the graduation or transferred or went to the draft. And of course, you have the Maniac and Dan Hurley, who is a great character. But I think that all plays into it. So it's not to say, and Zach Edey is a wonderful kid, and he's probably going to be the National Player of the Year again. But he plays a traditional five, right? We're talking about back in the 2000s. The mold that we're geared to now, he doesn't line up in that. So I think that also plays into it because he isn't the most compelling, great kid again, but you're not thinking, I gotta watch Zach Edey, I gotta watch him, so yeah, I think that all plays into it. The rule changes, the fact that everybody's going to different spots, and then also you don't have those can't miss prospects that we used to see. It felt like year in and year out. And then the women's game, this player, they're phenomenal. This player, they're freshmen who play like upperclassmen. That is a real thing.
Yeah.
Hannah Hidalgo is the leader of that team for Notre Dame, and she's just a freshman. But you wouldn't know it by the way she commands attention on the floor and the way I saw an article the other day about how there was one, she said in an interview, there was one girl who said, if Hannah's guarding me, I want to bring the ball up the court. And I'm pretty sure that lady who said that was an upperclassman or older than Hannah. That's probably the highest compliment you can get as a defender. Now, I would never admit that, but yeah.
I mean, my big thing, and Martin and I have talked about this a bit, including this morning, like my big thing is I feel like men's college basketball hinges on two things. It hinges on the star power, like you were talking about, but it also hinges on, most importantly, those stars going to the programs, going to the Dukes and the Kentuckys and the can't, like, you know what I mean? Like a big star going to like Iowa for men's basketball doesn't hold as much weight, doesn't mean as much as a big star going to one of the blue bloods, right? Whereas, and the other thing too is because of the way that the NBA draft structure is set up, a lot of these guys are going to schools for a year and then they're leaving either to go to the draft, or if they don't feel like that school is going to help them with their draft stock, they're in the portal going somewhere else. Women's college basketball, to me, and I say this all the time to Martin all the time, women's college basketball to me most resembles what professional sports looks like, right? As a professional sports fan, we get into sports and we start loving those teams, and then we follow specific players and we watch those players grow, mature, develop, and then be cornerstones, hopefully, and crucial assets and crucial pieces in what is hopefully a very lucrative, very successful tenure with the team. That's what women's college basketball is. You have girls coming in like Malaysia and Hannah and Juju as freshmen. They're not going anywhere. If I turn on a women's college basketball game in 2 years, Hannah will still be in Notre Dame. Juju's still going to be at USC. Malaysia's still going to be in South Carolina, right? You have a couple of girls here and there who's going to get into the transfer portal, but by and large, women's college basketball, because of the way that the draft is set up, like they're not thinking about getting in for 1 year and coming out. Like they're there for all 4 years. They're growing. They're getting better. We're watching them grow up in front of our eyes, and then we get to watch them translate to the next level. And that, to me, is what makes it so every year there's always going to be someone new to talk about as an upperclassman, right? There's always going to be someone new to talk about because we're going to have stars as freshmen who continue to be stars as sophomores, who continue to be stars as juniors. And as they're continuing to go through, we're going to continue to have more talented girls and more talented stars come into college to continue to filter through. I said it to Martin earlier today. It might be an argument right now, and it might be a debate right now, and I think it's because people are still trying to hold on to the nostalgia of men's college basketball. But in 3 to 5 years, I don't think it's going to be a debate. Like in 3 to 5 years, I think it's going to be very abundantly clear that women's college basketball is superior, more exciting, more of a draw than men's college basketball, because we don't always have those big stars coming into college on the men's side every single year, the way that for the next 3 to 5, maybe even 7 to 10 years, there's going to be 3, 5, 7, maybe even 10 girls every year coming in as freshmen that we're going to be talking about, plus the 3 to 5 that we're talking about as freshmen right now, and so forth and so on. Like, it's more exciting to me, and it's undeniably clear to me that it's more of a draw.
Yeah, you both made so many great points. I wanna touch on this. Like Chris brought up the personality. I thought the personality thing that's a big point because like we talked a lot about Angel Reese on here, yeah, and just the personality dynamic that comes with her. And I have a point. This is my point. I have a take on Angel just with this. No one can overlook how. And Chris, you brought up rivalries, another great point you brought up. And, you know, we always had UConn, Tennessee, like we used to have like those storied rivalries, but I don't know. It feels different now. And this is the point. This changed everything. I think you can't overlook what happened in that Natty game between Angel and Caitlin. Like, there was already a surge happening, right? Jill Biden was at the game. Like, Caitlin had already garnered, just, you know, she took out South Carolina in the Final Four. She had, like, she was becoming Caitlin Clark. Like, I was screaming to the hills about her since I watched her freshman year.
She could have been freshman, or she could have been National Player of the Year, really. You know what I'm saying? Paige deserved it, so, but yeah, she was heating up there.
So the Angel Caitlin thing, and Chris, Marcus and I talked last week about some comments Angel made about like how people are kind of projecting, like she wasn't, but she was just saying if people want to kind of compare us to like Magic and Larry, right, that kind of thing, and with their impact on women's college basketball, especially women's basketball as a whole. But you know, I can't help but think how, and again, this isn't even to say that Angel made Caitlin, or I just think that moment of the national championship, which again was already a draw. Caitlin had already garnered this huge draw. LSU was this powerhouse. Angel Reese, big personality. So it was already there. When Angel did this, it created, and as we all saw, there was, there were idiots like calling out Angel and trying to go at her and stuff. But that added to the discourse around just the rivalry component of women's basketball, created this like good tension almost, where we came into this season and everyone wants to see what's Caitlin doing, what's Angel doing, right? What's up with Paige? She's back from injury. Right. Then you're finding out about these freshmen, and it's like, wait, across the board. So Marcus, to your point, in 3 to 5 years, you and I know pretty well, there's a lot more talent coming in. There's more coming. I could start naming the names right now. Girls in 7th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade. Like, trust me, there are some aliens coming. Like, more aliens are coming.
Chavez is on the way.
Oh my
God! I'm telling you, she's just what we know about. There are girls that people,
and there's other hidden gems that we
haven't even seen or not. Trust me, there are some girls coming that people won't even believe what's coming. But that's also not to like what Caitlin has done, and I know you're not trying to like overshadow Caitlin or say like I just feel like obviously the Caitlin effect is real.
Yes.
I think your take is valid, Marcus. But this is an important time right now because of what Caitlin and Angel did. Like, it's not just Caitlin, it's also Angel. It's gonna take, I hope that influx of talent really gets, embraced and all that, because it's gonna be there. This Caitlin thing has been an outlier. This thing has been totally rare because she's rare. But I hope that you're right, Marcus. I hope in a few years it can just be the case, because as we see the talent continue to grow that's here and the talent coming in, again, you're going to see hitters in Iowa, in Texas, in Florida, and California. Like, it's happening now, but man, it's only going to get crazier. But you can't like, this time has been the shift. The Caitlin Angel thing.
Yeah,
I can't help but think how that changed everything, because the tension, the rivalry, people just started getting invested for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. More people want to talk about it.
Let me say this, because you know what is really great about the NBA? Well, I don't know if really great, but it's good. They lean into it being a drama, a soap opera, a lot more than the actual product on the floor. Has to do with like reports coming out of players being upset at management or head coaches, vice versa. Players being upset at each other and going on their podcasts and getting their stuff out about who said what. And I think we saw some of that with the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark dynamic, and how, you got these two great stars who I won't say got beat, but they're intense competitors. And so, Angel felt Caitlin and Iowa disrespected, South Carolina from laying off Raven Johnson and all that during the semifinal game. So this is how I have their back, and pointing at the ring finger, pointing at getting the ring. So I think the fact that people are seeing, I think as we evolve in the women's game, I think if you get like maybe a 60-40 balance of drama and storytelling, rivalries, petty shit, and then also the actual gameplay and how great it is, that would be better. I think that has to be improved on the W side, because it's not just about on the court, it's what's happening off the court, because everybody don't like each other. That's the other thing that we need to get away from. Women do not need to like each other. They don't need to like every woman that they come in contact with. Some women ain't gonna like each other. Just like some men, it's like, no, I don't like you. Yeah, I respect your game, but I cannot stand you. So when I get on that floor, I'm gonna try to do my best to bust your ass, and I'm gonna let you know about it. So you're right. It was an inflection point. It was an inflection point during that national championship.